Hillary Clinton email scandal. A newly released transcript showing a longtime State Department official thought Secretary Clinton was using her personal email to stay in touch with friends and family. Fox News Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge joins us from Washington. Catherine, hello.
Well, thank you, Kimberly. Look, while Mrs. Clinton has said that she handed over all of her emails, this Inspector General's report identifies 3 emails that specifically deal with the setup of the server and the management of the server, and they were not among the more than 55,000 pages of emails that were publicly released. Today, the State Department said that this omission was not a big deal, but I'm sure you understand that these emails are critical because they give us an insight as to why Mrs. Clinton set up that server, which appeared to be an effort to control the government records. One of the emails comes from 2011. Mrs. Clinton is asked if she will have a state.gov account because the email she's sending from the Clinton.email address is getting caught in the spam filters and not reaching State Department staffers. Of course, a government account would be searchable under the Freedom of Information Act, and that appears to be something she wanted to avoid. And she says to her aide, Huma Abedin, we don't want to have a situation where my emails or my personal communications are accessible. Now on to these depositions that are happening here in Washington, D.C. The federal judge in this civil suit, the Freedom of Information Action lawsuit, took the unusual step of allowing these depositions. One today was Cheryl Mills. This is sort of a limited discovery to understand how the email system was set up. And then also this guy called Louis Lukens. He was a senior person in the State Department who was involved in a lot of the logistics for Mrs. Clinton's computer work. What he said in the deposition is interesting. He says that when he saw her using the personal email account, he thought it was only to be in touch with friends and family, though Mrs. Clinton has said that her use of the email account was widely known within the State Department. And he also said he saw her using the BlackBerry on the executive floor of the State Department outside her office. That's really important because that area is considered a sensitive, if not secure area. And the problem with using a BlackBerry in that area is that it can also act like a microphone if it's hacked. So that is not, at least on its face, it appears to be another violation of the rules, Kimberly.
So many developments in this story, just on a day-to-day basis. You just wonder how this is going to play out before the election. Catherine, thank you for that excellent reporting. Welcome. And the Clinton email scandal is fueling new attacks on Secretary Hillary Clinton.
The State Department Inspector General throws gasoline on the fiery controversy over Hillary Clinton's email.
How much trouble is Hillary Clinton really in?
If you connect the dots, she violated the law. They haven't said so. She's violated the rules, but the rules spring from the law.
What the IG is saying is it's law-breaking.
She's at least violated 2 federal laws.
Well, I've got
perjury and obstruction of justice.
We could be here all day, about 12 others also. I can't see how, with that report, you don't recommend an indictment.
So the question, is Secretary Clinton properly handling the scandal? Democratic strategist Jessica Ehrlich and former U.S. spokesman to the United Nations, Rick Grinnell, they're both here to go on the record. We're gonna get to the bottom of this, aren't we, Rick? So what do you think? Is she handling this right? Because every day there's something else that comes out. First the State Department audit by the IG, now this.
Look, the facts are devastating for Hillary Clinton. She didn't accept a state.gov email address. She didn't accept a classified email address. So all of the information that was coming into her was at jeopardy. She didn't secure the classified information because she didn't even have the proper email addresses she refused to take from the State Department. So the only way that she can really get out of this is to pretend like it's a political scandal. She needs to pretend like the Republicans are just ginning up something and that this is all phony. And that's exactly what she's trying to do. The risk that she runs with this is that as the FBI investigates this and as they get into the details and what Catherine Herridge just pointed out with her email, it's devastating news because clearly there's enough from the IG report, from the leaked emails. She is in trouble here. She's going to be indicted.
Wow, that's a bold prediction. Jessica, is your side worried about that?
I don't think so. I don't think anyone thinks that the report, while not great. It was also more about the rules and not any law breaking. I mean, that's what we saw. As attorneys, we know that when the report comes out, if they're pointing to something specific, they will point to it. And it was a very in-depth report, and that didn't happen. And they're doing the depositions and moving forward, but there's been no smoking gun yet. And, you know, I think it's one of those things where people who, it doesn't help her, the whole entire email scandal for months now certainly has added fuel to this fire of people who find her untrustworthy. We've seen that in polling over and over again. But it's not going to affect anything really more so going forward. I don't see people who are for Hillary suddenly being like, oh no, now the IG report, gosh, really, you know, that's changing everything for me. I think most folks, especially on the Democratic side, are sort of like Bernie, like enough already with the email. Let's get back to the subjects that we're really concerned about.
Yeah, but what does she need to say and do, Jessica, to get the voters to come over to her side? Because there's a tremendous amount of people that are all the way for Bernie Sanders. She still hasn't been able to close the deal yet. You know, she's in big trouble in California. When you do the exit polling, people say the email scandal does matter.
Well, I think it goes to the overall, you know, this sort of idea of being trustworthy. And I think the more that she's out and speaking with people and talking about her ideas and her work and what she's done and will do, then that's really what motivates people. And that, I think, is what we're going to see going forward, particularly as we move into the convention. A platform is reached that people sort of are all coming in together into the fold and working together more so. And, you know, as we go, especially, you know, it's going to be interesting, too. There's this contrast that's going to happen. Right now, it's still back and forth between Bernie and Hillary, which is good and part of the process. But once it becomes, you know, Hillary and Trump, the contrast is so vast that I think people will definitely be like, gosh,
Rick, how can Trump use that to, how can Trump use that to his advantage? Would you tell him hammer her with that, like in a debate, etc.?
Look, I think the reality is that Trump is not going to have to hammer this too much. The FBI is conducting an investigation, and whether Jessica and the Democrats want to admit this, there has been multiple smoking guns. We have seen Hillary Clinton tell Jake Sullivan, her staffer, to cut off the markings and send the information on an unclassified system. Anyone who says that this is not an indictable offense, they don't understand what's going on with the classified information. I sat there for 8 years, and the details of what you have to do to guard national security and classified information are very clear. It's very clear Hillary Clinton did not do that. She's not above the law.
Yeah, and Rick's right. She was sat down with an FBI agent to discuss exactly how she's supposed to handle her emails and the server, all of that, and signed a document that she would comply, and both of those are blown out of the water already. Jessica and Rick, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Kimberly.